What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 2 of my No Man's Sky walkthrough. Now, if you remember where we left off last, we need to construct our first base. Now, before we get started constructing bases, let me just tell you about bases in this game. When you build a base, it's not really meant like you're going to be staying at that base forever. Really what's going to happen most likely is you're going to have many bases as you go through the game. So some will be bigger, some will be smaller, and you'll delete bases as you go. But don't look at this first base as like this is your home, because it's not. This is a temporary one, and this is basically a tutorial to teach you how to build. So as you can see, let's look at our log. What does it want us to do? The only thing we have is construct a base, so let's do that. So we're playing on PC, so it wants us to hit Z to bring up the build menu. And that's going to bring up the build menu. Now, we only have a few pieces to build with because we don't have blueprints yet. So let's put up some walls. And it'll tell you, I want you to build 3 wooden walls, and we're out of carbon, so we need to shoot some trees. All right, that should be enough. I want us to build another wooden wall. Just so you know, when you're in the build menu, if you press C, it changes the camera. So it's a lot easier to build with, or if you press down on the left stick if you're using a controller. Okay, so now it wants us to construct a roof. So there's the roof piece, but we don't have ferrite dust, so we need some ferrite dust. All right, is that enough? Yes. Okay, so we're gonna put the roof on. Now it wants us to build the wooden door frame, and we do have the carbon to do it. So there is our first base. We got a storm coming in, but as you can see, in this little shack, we're safe. Now it's alerting us now to the base computer. So let's run over to the base computer. Okay, so we got a new building part, the construction research unit. The construction research unit will allow us to buy blueprints. Now, you see that? That's a buried technology module. And we're going to need those, as many as we can get, because that is what you need to buy blueprints. But we need to construct the construction research unit first, which requires magnetized ferrite. So we need to create some of that. So we're going to need to use the portable refiner. All right, well, we do have this rusted metal, so we can go ahead and refine that into some more ferrite dust. And then we got a buried technology module like right here. So for a long time, every planet you go to, you want to be grabbing those technology. You need the salvage data. So you're going to want to be looking for that. There's another one up here. Looks kind of like a Wi-Fi icon, but you'll find them on every planet. Alright, so we got ferrite dust. So ferrite dust to pure ferrite, and then the pure ferrite turns into magnetized ferrite. So now let's take our pure ferrite, which will give us enough, I think. Yeah, we only needed 20. We're making 32. Okay, now you can see at the bottom right, craft carbon nanotubes. Okay. We've done that before. We need a little bit more carbon, so let's shoot another tree. Okay, now we can craft our carbon nanotubes. And now it wants us to make the construction research unit. So we'll put it inside our little base here. You can see new options will open. So if something's red, that means you can't place it in that spot. So you got to get it to a green spot. That's important to know with base building. All right, so now we have a construction research unit, which we can use to buy blueprints. We got buildable technology. Now this has some stuff in it that's, you're definitely gonna open all this stuff eventually. But as far as this stuff, the building pieces, I'd start with whatever you like best. They all provide the same amount of shelter. So if you like the way wood looks, you know, start with unlocking all those first and then move on to metal and concrete or whatever way you want to do it. But this stuff, even before the building piece, you need this, a base teleport module. That's a good one, because that'll allow us to port out of our base and port back to it. Okay, so what else can we build? A biofuel reactor. And we still have a little more, so I'm gonna get the electrical wire, which is free. I'm gonna get the save beacon, even though we don't really need it, but we got it. And we only have one salvage data left, so we'll get the signal booster. Actually, get the signal booster as soon as you can. The signal booster is very important, and it'll come into play later. So now we have all these new blueprints we just got, which is awesome. Our base can be renamed with the base computer it's telling us to do. What else is in our log? That's what it wants us to do next. It doesn't want us to do anything else. It wants us to name this base. So you can name it whatever you want, but I will name this one 1. Okay, now it wants us to build the base teleport module. So for that, we're going to need more ferrite dust, because we're going to need to make metal plating. We don't have the advanced mining laser yet, unfortunately. We should probably scan these rocks to see what the secondary element is. Remember I said in the last video, you won't get the secondary, which is paraffinium in this case, unless you scan the rock. Same thing with... Whoa, did you see that? That little guy was living under a rock. Alright, so let's see how much metal plating we can make. No, we need more. Alright, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you guys a trick for the early game to make it a little bit quicker. So when you need to get these things, like ferrite dust, for example, you can run around the planet and shoot the rocks, but what you can also do is come in your ship and stay low to the planet, look for a bunch of rocks and just start shooting. Depending on the planet, it may work better than others, but like if you have a really rocky planet, you can just kind of shoot the ground and it goes a lot faster. So this is one trick you can do right from the beginning, because you can see I'm getting a lot of stuff. I'm getting carbon, the hydrogen, you know, just whatever is on the ground. But let's see. Got 165 ferrite dust. This isn't a super rocky planet. But yeah, so you basically just want to fly low and shoot the ground. Be careful not to crash your ship into too many things. We got 419. We got geodes. The hydrogen. Carbon. And this stuff could stay in here. We don't need that right now. But how do we make out on our ferrite dust? Let's see. All right, so we got 714. So we got our 4 metal plating. So now we need to do carbon nanotubes times 2. We did that. Now we need 40 sodium, which we don't have. So we're gonna have to use the scanner and look for some sodium. Not seeing any. Well, in cases like this, like, so say you're looking for sodium, but you're not sure where it is. Maybe go check out a buried technology module, and on your way, you probably find some sodium. All right, now this is a knowledge stone. And what these do is tell you a little bit of something, and then you learn a word for that alien race. Yeah, you wanna, every time you see one of those, you wanna come up to it and click it. And we get some more sodium. All right, so we have everything we need now to construct the base teleport module. There we go. We got our oxygen back at the base. We'll do a save. And now we're gonna build our teleporter. Now these need power to function. So as you can see, it now wants me to power this with the biofuel reactor, which we already bought. Now, if you didn't buy the biofuel reactor at this point, it would tell you to. So we need to craft that, which takes 1 metal plating and 25 oxygen. Okay, so the metal plating shouldn't be a problem, but we need to go get some oxygen. So let's refine that rusted metal into ferrite dust. This needs a little bit more fuel. And while that's going, we can go get oxygen and, yeah. Now, you'll find little plants like this that you can pick on different planets, and they're used in cooking recipes, because you can actually cook in this game and make bait to feed animals and stuff like that. Comes into play a little later. I wouldn't worry about picking that stuff up, really, in the beginning. Here, let's use our scanner. The scanner is very important, but in the beginning, it takes a long time to recharge. Later, it's much quicker, so don't be put off too much by that. All right, we already got that knowledge stone. These guys come in really handy. Now, they can hurt you because they put out toxic whatever, see, like that. So you can shoot them and you'll get oxygen, but we can also do, let's back up a little, is we can extract oxygen from them. If you kind of got to get, see, he's got those little red things around him, so if you can get close enough, you can extract those. But you gotta be, it's weird. You gotta be like right. See, we got hit. Alright, well, we'll just blow them up now. But those guys are a good source of oxygen. So these will be on a lot of planets, these blue flowers. And what these do is give you a boost to your jetpack. So if I do that, I get a jetpack surge, so I can boost, you know, a little further for a little longer. So the reason you're learning alien words in this game, in case you were wondering, is because you do talk to the aliens. And initially you're not going to understand what they say. Now you can get translators that you can install in your suit, which makes it a little better, but as you go, you'll be learning words. Okay, now we got our stuff to build a biofuel reactor. Now, this thing is not good. It's an early game base item that you're not going to be using later because there are way better ways to get electricity than this thing, but this is how it's going to start you. So we need to craft a metal plating. And now we got our biofuel reactor. So now is when we get into wiring and electricity. So you see it says hold L left control to access wiring. So you hold that and you get like this ball. And you can use that to connect the wires. Now that wire is red because there's no electricity, because this biofuel reactor requires fuel to generate electricity. As I was saying, this is, you know, not something you're going to be using much in the game past the, you know, the beginning parts. So if I put some of this in here, that gives me less than a minute of power. One thing to know, if you have, even if you don't have one of these portals, if you are at another portal, you can port back to your base. Like if you're in a space station, there's portals in every space station. So even if there's no electricity here, you could still port back in, but you can't obviously use the portal if there's no electricity. Okay, so you see now we've done that and wants us to go to the base computer. Let's look at our log. That's the only thing in it. One thing I wanted to mention is when you're working on something in your log, you need to have it selected. So if I had like a secondary mission here and I had that selected, in order to do this base computer, I need to select the base computer one. So just something to keep in mind. All right, now this stuff is you kind of want to read. It's going to give you lore. I mean, there is story in No Man's Sky. Investigate the space station. Follow the footsteps of the base computer's previous owner. Okay. So let's see what it wants us to do. The trail has gone cold. Inquire about the strange signals at the space station. Okay, so space stations are in almost every, well, not every system, but almost every system in No Man's Sky. So, good thing we had that. And they're not all the same. I mean, they all have the same stuff in them, but like the items you can buy will be different, and the prices you can get for selling items will be different at different space stations. It depends on the economy that it's in. Later in the game, you get an economy scanner for your ship that shows you which star systems are like wealthy or which are poor. So that comes in useful, and that's like the main difference between space stations. All right, since this is our first trip to a space station, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what goes on here. You got two sides. Now, on this side is going to be the people who can, where you can buy upgrades for your suit, your ship, your multi-tool, your exocrafts. Can also scrap ships with this machine. That means destroying a ship, because sometimes you will find broken ships. Now this is the appearance modifier, and this is cool. When you get here, you can make yourself look the way you want to look. So let's get my look that I normally roll with, or as close to it as we can. We use the green with the red, right? And there we go. Now we look the way we want to look. So that's the appearance modifier. Those are in space stations. They're also in the space anomaly. We'll get to that later. Now this guy. This is an important thing. This allows you to pay to open a new inventory slot in your exosuit. Now, we're not going to do that just yet, but it's very expensive to do. There's free ways to do this. You can find these on planets that will allow you to unlock a slot for free. This guy is not needed right now. He's for exocrafts. This is the starship guy, so you could come here and you could buy upgrade modules using nanites. Right now, we're still doing like this quest. This guy, each space station is going to have a multi-tool in it. And so like this one, for example, would be a big upgrade from the current one I have, but we don't have the money. Now, these are different in every space station, so you never know what you're going to find. So it's always good to take a look. And he sells the multi-tool upgrades, and this machine lets you upgrade your multi-tool so you can improve its class. And this guy comes into play later in the game, so early on, don't even bother with the scrap dealer. Oh, got some nice ships down here. Now, these people who come in here and land, you can talk to them, and you could buy their ships, and you can buy things from them. Like, I could buy items. Let's see what he sells. Okay. But those guys come in handy. Now, this side is where you'll find a portal, which will let you port back to your base or bases. So once you know you have a lot of bases, you can use this to port back to any of them. I just have the one right now, but once we get traveling around, all the space stations I visit will be in here, so if we needed to port back to one, we could. Now this guy here, he sells maps. These maps are used for finding different stuff on planets. We're going to ask about other travelers because that's what the mission currently has us doing here. When you talk to these guys at space stations, see, like, we can't understand the thing he says because we don't know anything. So we're just going to kind of go along with this mission. I'm kind of skipping through it because I think you guys should read it for yourselves, because you lose a lot there, because the story is pretty good. So okay, here it basically just tells you everything I told you. The encoded messages has been stored for later use. When ready, leave using the teleport terminus to return to your base. Okay, so a couple other things about the space station. There's going to be a place you can buy and sell, of course, in all of them. Let's see if we have anything we could sell. We don't need that right now. We don't need that right now. We won't need that for a bit. Don't know if we'll need the microprocessors anytime soon. Navigation data. You're going to be picking that up a lot. And it is important, but we don't need it right now. See, but also, sometimes, depending on the station you're at, you can buy things like oxygen, you know? So you don't have to worry about running around to get it. So what do we have? We have 38,000 units right now. So let's buy... Actually, we're not going to buy that. We don't have enough yet. It's too much. So we'll just do it rough for now. So anyway, they also have this back room here. And these are different in each one, but you can sometimes find these machines that'll give you some nanites. And these things on the wall, which will teach you a word. Now, the words you learn, we're in a Viking system. There's 3 alien races, a Viking, the Korvax, and the Gek. And depending on what system you're in, that's the words you're going to learn. Now, you can go around and talk to all these guys and practice language with them if you want. If you get it right, it'll raise your faction with them. If you get it wrong, it won't. This guy gives missions out. This is not something I would mess with until much later in the game. This guy also has to do with missions. I wouldn't mess with any of that until later in the game. So now it's telling us to port back to our base. So let's do that. And here we are back at our base. And you can see the portal has no electricity now. What do we got in our refiner? Oh, how did I not open these? Alright, so we got our ferrite dust. Word of warning. Leaving things in refiners and then like leaving the area can sometimes you'll come back and nothing will be in the refiner. Just something to keep in mind. I haven't had problems with it lately, but in the past I have, so. Okay. Wanted us to go to the base computer. It's decoding 16. Signal acquired. Life signs detected. Reach the decoded coordinates. Okay. So we have some direction to go in. We're going to need to use the ship to fly out to it. So as you could probably see by this point, the game does lead you as to where you need to go next and what you need to do. If you just kind of follow along, if you just go off and just start exploring, you're going to get overwhelmed because it's going to pop up all these things that you should do. And you might get confused as to what order to do them. So hopefully this is kind of guiding you a little bit. Whoa, what do we got here? A crashed freighter. Okay, let's see what's going on here. All right, and it just gave us the Hyperdrive blueprint. So now the next thing we need to do is get the Hyperdrive installed. But we don't have the stuff to do it. We need microprocessors, which I just sold like a dummy. I shouldn't have done that. And we need chromatic metal. So we got a couple options. We can go back to the space station and buy microprocessors. Now, if you didn't have the money to buy the microprocessors, which I'm not sure if we do have enough to buy 5, you know, you could go around the planet and just grab a bunch of stuff, harvest up a bunch of stuff that you could sell. Like things like, you know, there was the magnetized ferrite on the planet. We could go mine that out. There could be other materials on that planet we can mine to sell. But I'm just going to see if we have enough right now to get those microprocessors, because that'll be quicker. They're really expensive. It would cost us almost all our money for 2. Okay, so at a point like this, what can we do? We don't have enough money for the microprocessors. We can't craft microprocessors. We don't know how. There's no microprocessor in here. So what are we going to do? We need money. Okay, so we need money to either buy microprocessors or make them, or maybe we could find some. So we're going to have to do some exploring at this point. And this is something that's going to happen in the game. You're going to reach points where, okay, I can't get any further because I don't have the stuff. So that's where the exploring comes in. So let's see what is on this planet that could give us money. We got copper and copper, magnetized ferrite, copper. All right, so a lot of copper. Well, we could do that too, the magnetized ferrite. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make chromatic metal, because we're gonna need that as well. These buried caches you'll find on planets, and these can sometimes have good items in them, valuable items, or sometimes they have not so good items. But they're, if you see them, I'd say it's worth digging them up. Especially early on, like at this part we're at, because anything will help. Alright, so that gave us what? This thing. So it says analyze data, press E. So that gave us nanites. So, not bad. And these buried mineral formations can also come in useful. These give you usually a glowing crystal, I think. We blow this up and see what we get. Get a glowing mineral, and then that pops open, and we got crystal sulfide. That's okay. We could sell that. Let's actually hit that first. See, so as you're roaming around these planets, exploring, picking up stuff, you know, you're doing multiple things at once. So we're looking for upgrades and stuff, but we're also working on the hyperdrive. All right, what did that give us? A tooth-studded lump, which turned into 99 condensed carbon. See? So you don't always know what you're going to get. And we can't mine that yet. Navigation data. So navigation data is something you're going to acquire lots of. And it's used for a couple different things. One thing it could be used for is to summon your ship to a landing pad. That's pretty much what I use it for. But also in the space station, the cartographer who sells the maps, he exchanges the maps for navigation data. And there's some other uses as well that I'm probably forgetting about right now. Okay. We're back at the base. We can make some more ferrite dust. We still need more chromatic metal, though, and the 5 microprocessors. Okay, inventory full is going to happen a lot in the beginning of the game. So, you can delete things. Things like Korvax casings. You don't really need those right away, but we could sell it. So we do have some stuff to sell, but I still don't think we have anywhere close to enough to get those microprocessors. Now these red barrels, you're not going to be able to open those until you get the Atlas Pass, and that happens a bit later, but we'll get to that point. Okay, so we found a cave. Caves often have cobalt in them. Now, cobalt sells for a good amount. Every planet is going to have caves on it for the most part, and those caves almost always will have cobalt in them. Just be careful, because there's sometimes bad things in these caves. Can also get lost pretty easy in them. Yeah, see? So just that little bit is worth 83,000. So cobalt is your best bet, like, just to get some units so you can buy, you know, some of the basics, so you don't have to be running around planets searching for oxygen or sodium and stuff. You know, you can just buy a good amount of it at the space station. And this mining beam, this is just the noob, like, starter one. This gets better and mines much faster later and doesn't overheat. Okay, so I mined about 1,000 cobalt. All right. So, find a cave on your planet if possible. Get cobalt as much as you can. I just got 1,000 for time's sake. All right, let's see. Oh, we didn't leave anything refining, but we can put some of this rusted metal in here. To make some ferrite dust. So now let's go sell. And here we are at the space station. We're going to sell the cobalt and see if we could buy the microprocessors we need. Now, let me think. While I have them, actually, I'd rather have the money. So, never mind. All right, so let's sell stuff. All right, so the cobalt is going to get us almost 200,000 units. See, so that's a really good one in the beginning. Alright, so we got 300,000 units. And we need 5 of these. And we could get them. Alright. So now that we have those, do we have... No, we need to go back to the base and make some more chromatic metal. Okay, so back at the base, we need about 30 chromatic metal. And that should be enough. So now we're ready to install our hyperdrive. Boom, boom. And now we have hyperdrive, so we can warp from system to system. So now it's telling us to return to the ship. I'm gonna get... Alright, telling us hyperdrive is installed and we need fuel or we're not going anywhere. And we're going to use our ship's scanner and it found the antimatter, which is over here. So again, guys, this part, all this stuff we're doing, this is still basically tutorial. We haven't really gotten into the game yet. Okay, so it's sending us in this building to this terminal. All right, so now we have the blueprint for antimatter, which we need to make the fuel for the hyperdrive, but we need more chromatic metal. Take your time and look around these buildings you come in. There's sometimes good stuff. Nanites and other useful things you could pick up. Alright, so now we can craft antimatter. Now what does it want us to do? Assemble antimatter housing. Okay. So what do we need for that? We need oxygen and ferrite dust, which we have, so boom. Now it wants us to craft the warp cell, which is the combination of the antimatter and the antimatter housing, and there's the warp cell. So now you can fuel your ship a couple different ways when you have a warp cell. When you're in the ship, you can use the quick menu. And just like that. Or if you wanted, you could just take the warp cell and drop it on the hyperdrive. See, but one warp cell doesn't fill it up all the way. Alright, hyperdrive refueled. It wants us to launch into space to test it out. So let's do it. Alright, now we're in space and we got our notice there for the galaxy map. So if we press X, I believe it's down on the D-pad if you're using a controller. You can open the galaxy map. Now this thing is pretty hard to understand. If you press R, it'll expand and it'll give you more information about the system you're currently in. Now, the important things about this is the race and the economy. This is a 2-star economy. 3-star, a rich system, so you're going to get the best prices there, and you're more likely to find the better upgrades in those type of systems. But for now, we're just going to warp to where it wants us to warp to, which is here. Alright, and now we warped into our first system. There's 5 planets, 1 moon. This is a Cobalt system. Hyperdrive error. Warp fuel depleted. So basically we're stuck now till we can find more warp fuel. But it found some. So we could press C and we could scan this planet down here. That's a blighted planet. Now it's pointing us to the fuel source. So let's go there. This planet is a irradiated planet. I don't really know what that means, but there's the planet names, like they have multiple names for the same type of planet. So just so you know. Alright, I'm kinda I don't know what to say here, I forget. I'll just say it's a traveler. But I kind of want to let you guys guess this stuff for your own, because I think you'll have the most fun that way. So I'm just kind of going through this quick. Alright, it gave us a warp cell. And it gave us a bit of story. That story is going to come into play later. So that's why I kind of skipped over it so you guys could read it for yourself. Because, you know, the storyline content in this game that you're going to follow is optional. You don't have to do it, but you're going to have the best experience if you do. In my opinion. Alright, so now we can go back to our ship. And refuel. Alright, so where is it? Here we go. Okay, now we got some coordinates, and we also have the base computer. But we're going to go to the stranger coordinates first. We'll check the base computer when we go back to the base computer. And here we are. Now pay attention, because this is an important part of the game. There's a crashed ship right here. The crashed ship you may see may not be this exact one. It may look different. We gotta fix this before we could use it. All right, and we got the advanced mining laser. So we could craft that, but we also have this ship. Now this ship is broken, But this is a B-class ship. So when you find an abandoned ship like this, we can claim it. So this is now ours. However, we can't fly it because it's broken. So this, what I would suggest you do at this point in the game is repair this ship enough to where you can fly it to the space station. So let's hop in it and have a look. Really, all we need to get to a space station is launch thrusters and the pulse engine. So we would need a hermetic seal, metal plating, and pure ferrite, 50 pure ferrite, which we don't have. But I would say it's worth it to fix it, and you'll see why. Okay, so we can fix the pulse engine there. So we just need pure ferrite. So we're gonna have to make another portable refiner. And we're going to make some pure ferrite. I think it was 50. Okay. So that's what you want to do. And you can also pick this up, just so you know. Alright. Now that we have repaired this ship enough to where we can fly it, we're going to go up to space. We're going to leave our other ship. Now this ship's way better than the one we already have, but alright, we're getting a message here. Alright, now that's an important message from Nada that's going to come into play later. That has to do with the story of the game. But this is incredibly important because this is going to allow you to get a really smooth start. Because we're not going to keep the ship, even though it is better than the one we currently have. Because at this point of the game, we really need a boost in our money, which will make things go a lot easier. So we're going to scrap this ship. So now that we're at the space station... Oh, this actually might be difficult, though. Okay, before... See, we need to make space in our inventory. And we don't have any storage yet, so let's see what we could sell here to make some space. We could sell this. Oh, actually, also what we could do... We can open another slot in the suit here. For 5,000. Alright, let's see if it'll let us do it now. Because you get a lot of stuff when you scrap a ship. Ooh, it's only worth 340,000. I thought it would be worth more, but whatever. Alright, but now we're gonna sell... We're gonna sell the upgrade modules that came from that ship. Nanites. And then we're going to go over here and sell the other stuff to the scrap dealer here. You could sell it to any of the people here, whoever you want. Okay, so let's sell the superconducting fiber. Tank of coolant. And there we are. Now we got 500,000 units. So when you scrap a ship, your other ship will default and just show up here. So no worries about that. See, so we have our ship back. And we just made a good amount of money. So there you go. All right. And that, so depending on which ship you happen to get, because they seem to be random at that point. That point of the game always happens where you find the ship, but what ship you get might be different. So you may get a little more money or a little yet less than I got for scrapping it. But that's something you definitely want to do when you get to that point. And that's going to do it for episode 2. Episode 3, we'll go even deeper into No Man's Sky. And thank you so much for watching. If this helped you out, give it a thumbs up. If it didn't, you can give it a thumbs down and leave a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it, and it would really help me out. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.